Eric Bischoff. I believe there's like sort of like two different sides of the story as far as how Eric Bischoff got the job. How do you think Eric got the executive VP job?
I've heard a bunch of stories like you have, right? You know, I heard about Jason Hervey, the letter, and all that. But my personal belief is WCW was in such disarray that they didn't know who they were going to take. They had Bill Watts, you know, Ole. They bought out Jimmy Crockett. That Eric presented himself, and rightfully so, as a businessman, not a wrestler. And I think it was the right decision for the company because Eric, when he first came, was very open to listen to everybody's ideas. And Eric had this thing where he thought out of the box too, because when I talk to people about booking, one of the things I bring up that Eddie Graham instilled upon his book is do not fall into patterns. And we all do. Whether we get up in the morning and the first thing is we brush our teeth. You know what I mean? That's the first thing, or we blow our nose, whatever. And Eric hadn't been indoctrinated long enough to fall into those patterns. So I think he presented himself as a businessman first that knew the wrestling, not a wrestler that didn't know business. So I think that's why he got the job.
What did, because I know there's the famous story of Bill Watts taking a whiz out of the window, and I know he made some rather distasteful comments as well in an interview a couple of years earlier that ended up getting resurfaced. But why did the Turner Brass have such a bad taste in the mouth with Bill Watts?
You'd have to know Bill. Bill, I got along with Bill, but Bill, and he was a student of Eddie Graham. Bill was a bully, plain and simple, and when he thought he was above anybody's reproach. And I've heard that story about pissing off the balcony. To me, if Watts was a very smart guy, he wanted to do that to get out, to get fired or whatever, because he knew he'd still get his contract paid. Somehow, when he went there, maybe he saw that he wasn't going to get the complete authority that he thought he deserved. And he said, I got to get out of here. And I don't think Bill was that stupid to not know what the consequences were going to be.
Going back to Eric again, you said that he did, some pretty revolutionary things as VP, or I don't think he was executive vice president, but he would eventually become that. It's essentially the same job. But what were some of the fresh thinking ideas that Eric brought to the table as far as maybe saving money or creative?
Well, Eric realized with a lot, which none of the other guys from Kip Fry to the numerous guys that were there before him, Jim Herd, that talent is the number one priority in this business. It's a talent-driven business. And he saw that. And, there's always been these different rumors about how they end up, we always started. He went to Japan and saw that. And then I was with Eric when we brokered the deal for Japan. And that was the first time the Japanese had ever worked closely with any other office. Back in the day, they would send like Baba came over, went around the States. It was a big draw with in LA and Hawaii, and for Vince Sr. Then Inoki came over. But when we did the deal with New Japan, they were paying us $1 million a year to use their talent on TV. They paid for the flights back and forth, and they paid the guy's salary. Nothing came out of our kick. But when our guys went over there, they got their salary plus the Japanese salaries. So, and that took a while because you know Japanese business, you have meetings to have meetings. And Eric, I mean, I don't think anybody else would have had the wherewithal to stay into that kind of business because, you know, they're Turner, they think they're the king of the hill. Eric was smart enough to understand international business.
With Eric, he's always said that he never ever said to anybody that his goal was to run the WWF out of business. So how many times did he personally tell you that he wanted to see the WWF out of business?
Well, he didn't tell me personally, but we knew that that's what the goal was. I mean, they came close. They came very close. I mean, I heard rumors where they took the bottled water out of the WWF, you know, offices. I don't believe that. But I mean, you know, when we were on that roll, and people forget this, our ratings were beating or getting the exact same ratings or very close when Nitro started. We beat them the first quarter ever on TV. And I used Japanese talent there too, the first Nitro, Pillman and Justin Dandalaga. Then I had Sabu and different people because I was trying to reach out to the pockets of the Japanese fans, the ECW fans, and then later on, I was in Denver one night for a show, and I'm looking in the audience, I see all these Mexican flags. In Denver, I had no idea, you know, Denver being the northwest part of the southwest. I got in touch with Conan, who I knew. He brought the Hispanic luchadors in, and we were giving them a completely different product. Vince was selling, my thought process was, we're selling vehicles. Vince is selling Cadillacs. We're going to sell Harley Davidsons. A little bit more grittier product. And that's how we got the jump on him. And Eric, getting back, that's a long way about the story. Did Eric? Yeah, everybody wanted to. They thought they wanted the WWE to go out of business. The worst thing it would be, you know, no competition. But I don't think, you know, it took the scandal to drive Vince, if he's completely out of the business, but he's a very smart guy,